So you're allowed to hate AI, but most of you are hating it for the wrong reason. There is a sociologist in the far north of Sweden named Simon Lindgren, great guy. And he put it better than anyone I've read so far. So he wrote a piece in a journal called Not Anti-Technology, but Anti-Capitalism. And those are two different fights. And we keep picking the wrong one. So I want you to think about the word itself, right? What does AI even mean right now? Not the exact meaning, but what are we implying or connotating with it? So Lindgren calls it an empty signifier, and that's vague enough to mean anything, right? Productivity, surveillance, layoffs, what does it mean to you? Now, he has this concept also called bias. And bias really gives us an insight into the bugs, not just the features. So when one of these systems turns out racist or sexist, we call it a bug. The company patches it, they apologize, they move on. But the thing about those bugs is they are the most honest part of the whole system. They show you who built it and who it was built for. VR is one of my favorite examples. For years, women were getting motion sick in headsets at a much higher rate than men, and it got treated as a user problem. Women must have just more sensitive stomachs than men did. When researchers actually took time to look at this, they saw that the headsets had been calibrated around typical male bodies, the default eye spacing, the way depth gets rendered, because rooms of mostly male engineers built the thing for themselves. So the bug wasn't a bug, it was a record of who was actually in the room. Or Tay that I mentioned yesterday, the bot that Microsoft put on Twitter in 2016 and took it down less than a day later when it started posting racist garbage. So Microsoft blamed trolls and pulled it. But Tay is a mirror. Tay did exactly what it was programmed to do, and it learned from us, and it spit back the worst of us back to it. That wasn't a malfunction, that was a mirror. So when a company says we fixed the bias, ask what they fixed. Was it their data set, or the fact that a handful of companies are still deciding what gets built, whose data trains it, and whose jobs disappear, and who profits? Lindgren had a really good point. Deleting your ChatGPT doesn't really do much. Your anger isn't the problem, your aim is. So the question worth asking is who decides what these systems are doing, and who do they answer to? Right now, they answer as shareholders. If you want to read more about power and AI and anti-capitalism, the piece is called Not Anti-Technology, but Anti-Capitalist by Simon Lindgren. The citation is in the description, so follow on tech and power.